There you have it. Episode 23 of the second season of Mushoku Tensei PV has released, and I have so much to say about it. I want to start off by saying two very important things. If you're an anime only, do not watch this video. This video is not for you. I am strictly just doing a video talking about the PV, and I want to talk about it in length, so as a light novel reader, I'm going to spoil things. So if you're an anime only, again, stop watching now, turn this off. Thank you for checking it out. Hit the like button, but yeah, don't watch this video. Two, I'm going to talk about speculation. I'm going to go based on my knowledge of the light novel, especially this point right here, and my thoughts on how it seems like it's being portrayed. And this is purely speculation. I'm just talking. It doesn't mean the episode is going to turn out this way. I just want to talk about it. Let's just have fun. Let's have fun. But yes, with all that said, let's dive into it. Yes, the moment I seen the PV, obviously for those that know me, this is probably one of my favorite moments in the Mushoku Tensei series overall. Yes, partly because of Roxy, but truthfully, it's Rudius. It's what's going through his head. Now, this is where I have my first concerns, and I felt this way when I seen the title for the next episode, which is basically Going Home. That implies that they're going to be covering quite a bit, and as you can see with the PV, they're already on the trip home. They're going home. They are on their way home. So that implies that, yes, this entire episode is going to be covering Rudius, what's in his head, him realizing he screwed up for the second time, his fears about everything, him being broken at that point, and then it would be the whole... I'm assuming they're probably going to skip the whole scene with Elise, Talhand, and Roxy at the bar, which I assume is going to happen, which I hate because there's so much implied reasoning for Roxy in that situation. And then, yes, you have the whole scene with Roxy coming in there, her comforting him, and then you have the whole trip going back home and constantly the back and forth between Rudius and Roxy and then Elise pushing them. That's all going to be in a single episode. I have hope. I hope they pull it off, but there is a lot to be covering here, and I feel like this is the most pinnacle point of Rudius right here. I bawled my eyes out when I read it. I bawled my eyes out when I did the whole Mushoku Monday, when I went through the entire episode or the entire segment of that novel. All that stuff is so emotional. And yeah, it kind of concerns me that because the PV doesn't really show any of that, it does make me concerned that that's not going to be the focus. That's just literally 2 frames here. Now again, it doesn't frame well on a PV. The PV wants to show Roxy. Let's be perfectly honest. So anyways, let's go through this whole thing. Like again, this is the episode that I've been most terrified of and how they're going to handle it. And a lot of my focus there was really, again, around Rudius, how they're going to portray his brokenness, making the same mistake twice a second time. And yes, technically, will they portray what Roxy does correctly? Because I've heard some people essentially interpret it a different way than I got from it, which is fine. But anyways, let's go to the PV proper. Opening up, yes, seeing that one scene with Roxy coming out there and Rudius is over there, which is interesting because this is a new shot. Which is funny because the initial thought is like, yeah, I remember this shot from the first season. I think this is a new shot. So they're showing, again, from Roxy's perspective. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That does show me at least that they will have, hopefully, a segment of this episode from Roxy's perspective. Because it's important to understand why she does what she does. She loved this family. She loved Rudius. And yes, right now she's feeling lost too. She lost Zenith and she lost Paul. Zenith and Paul are basically her second parents because she felt like at this time when she was there that her parents didn't like her, that she was a burden on them. So it's important. Again, really great shots here. We jump forward to the point where they're going home. Obviously, Rudy's a little conflicted by the fact that Roxy's constantly at his side. She's enjoying the moment while she can before they get back home, which I think is super cute. I do. I think this is, I forget exactly what this would be. I would assume this is probably Elise telling him to, just do it. I don't recall if Roxy ever bopped him. I think she did. I don't remember. It's a hard one to remember. I think it was during the time where he was kind of a little bit conflicted about what he was going to do, but I'd have to go double check that. Cute little Roxy coming out, being a little flustered. I would assume this is probably when she went out drinking and then came back, and after Rudius got to talking to Elise about her being pregnant. Again, full-on spoilers. By the way, spoilers for anybody that's anime only, as I told you earlier. Again, now we're going to jump back to Rudius right after the whole incident and him kind of being broken. Paul's sword in his hands. Massive oof. Rudius with losing Hercules to the Hydra, obviously. I completely forgot about that joke when I covered that. Yes, Hercules, his hand, which he named Hercules, got lost to the Hydra. Very fitting. Even Refugin decided to make a joke on that over and over again. But yeah, crying. This is going to be... Oh, God, again, I hope they pull this off. Rudius and breaking right here is... It's so pinnacle. This is literally like the most pinnacle point of Rudius' story, I think. And probably, I would argue from the very first episode of season 1 all the way until now, this is probably the biggest change for Rudius. I would argue this is the biggest change emotionally and maturity-wise for Rudius. This is like I would argue it's a point in which Rudius has finally been grounded. He's been grounded in this world. He's coming to realize I need to start focusing on things around me as if I am here. I guess that's the best way to put it. He's obviously realized that he's in this world, but this is kind of one of those moments where he realizes the people around me are important, and especially the family around me is important. Now, granted, with the whole thing with Norn, that was a good one as well. This is my sister. This is my sister. But this is like him for his parents, obviously. Moving forward, Rudius upset. There's the embrace. We did have a PV shot of this released before the season started. Very gorgeous shot of Roxy embracing him. But again, typically with those PVs, pre-season PVs, they're super polished. People didn't know that they did that with the first season as well. Super polished shot. And a lot of shots that weren't used, like the shot with Lilia and Aisha, was a really good shot. Super polished. But here it is. Here it is. Here's where things start going, what are we doing? What are we doing? Now, it was interesting because the PV itself on Twitter, they posted saying that original script by Refugin. Somebody pointed this out to me, but then I realized that that's technically implying original script by Refugin for the PV. And yes, it's an original script. It's Roxy narrating over it, talking about how Reese isn't doing well. She got to do something to help him. They don't normally credit Refugin. We basically looked at the old, like the leaked screenshots. They're like these very small thumbnails that you can barely make out a blur of what the people's names are. It doesn't look like Refugin's involved with this next episode. If the leaks are true, again, take that with a cup of salt. If the leaks are true, Refugin is not directly scripting it. Now, yes, we've heard from Refugin several times before that he is involved in the project. He sits down with them in the meetings. He talks about what's to come. He helps them with the situation. And again, right here, he's literally scripting a PV. Refugin's involved. So he's gonna be telling them what to do. I mean, not like ordering them around or anything, but they're not gonna do something, I would think, outside of what he wants. But this does still concern me as to how they're portraying Roxy right here. Because, yeah, she never did this. This never happened in the novel. She never grabbed him and pulled him back down the bed. A reminder to people how it basically played out. She came in the room, said, hey, let's go out shopping or something like that. And he's like, no, I don't want to. Normally, I would totally follow her like a puppy, but I don't want to. I don't want to do anything. And then she got onto the bed, walked around behind him, sat down behind him, and embraced him. From behind, cuddled him like this. And that's the point where he's sniffing in her scent. He's like, man, this is really calming. This is weird. Then she got up to leave. Roxy got up to leave. And then Rudius grabbed her and pulled her down into his lap. And at that point, she's like, okay, if we can do this. And he's like, wait, is she offering? And then he goes, takes her, slams her down, and that's it. That is the novel. Got behind him, cuddled him. She gets up to leave. He grabs her, pulls her into his lap, and then she says, yeah, it's good if you want to. And then he basically puts her down. Now, this is implying that Roxy's being a little forward. She grabbing that hand and she pulling him in. She grabbing and pulling him in. And then, of course, the way that the PV is sort of framed, it kind of makes you think that she pulled him down, slammed it on the bed, and got on top of him. I think this last shot is from when she's behind him. I don't know why they would have this frame right here. She should be behind him, but I'm guessing that she probably embraces him, and then they start talking. She gets on the bed, probably gets behind him, and this last shot's probably him looking up at her, which I don't know why it wouldn't be the other direction. She would have to be flipped horizontally. Not horizontally, but vertically, rather. So, again, the way the PV's framing it, he's going to go to leave. She's going to pull him in. It's probably going to frame it as he goes, this is a bad idea. I'm wondering if they're actually going to have him go, this is not a good idea. Because, again, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong on this one because I didn't check this specifically, he never says, no, I can't. This is bad. I got to get back home to Sylphie. Now, he does think about that. But in this moment with Roxy, he's not going, crap, I can't cheat on Sylphie. He's thinking, I'm calm. This is really comforting. I want more of this. And then when she offers, he says, wait, she's offering herself? Who said that? Elise? So what I'm thinking is he's probably going to get up and say, no, I can't do this. And she's going to grab his hand and he's going to go, okay, sure, let's do this. Again, this is all speculation, but I'm very curious how they're going to frame this because this is, I think, the important thing for people to understand, at least from what I gathered from reading the novel series and analyzing it, is that it was strictly Roxy giving him an ultimatum to leave, go out shopping, get out, just get out. They're not going to save him. And again, that whole bar scene where Elise is basically saying, if you want to save him, typically you have to sleep with them. And she's going, well, why don't you do that, Elise? And she's like, I'm not going to do that. And Elise is obviously going, Roxy, go. just go. We know you love him. Just go. And again, a world where having multiple wives is perfectly normal. This is a normal thing here. Rudius is only struggling with that because of his previous life. So, again, framing is going to be very important in how they portray this as to, does it turn into Roxy trying to help him out? Then he grabs her and she says, okay, well, if that'll help you, then go ahead. And then he pushes her down. That's it. Or is it going to turn into literally, I can't do this. I got to get home to Sylphie. And then Roxy literally grabs him, turns into Dom mode, slams him down. And then he goes, okay, let's do it. It's like, okay, let's be perfect. I mean, yes, technically Rudius right here is, his eyes should be more sunk in this. He's portrayed as being a skeleton at this point. Like, he hasn't been eating, drinking. He's literally going to die probably within a week. He ain't going to make it home at all. He's puking up all of his food. He can't keep anything down. He's literally going to die. And so her being able to at least grab him and maybe possibly pull him does sort of make sense. But damn, her throwing him down on the bed like this, it does make you kind of wonder. This girl is petite. She ain't going to be grabbing him and throwing him around. She's been an adventurer for a long time. I guess she has the strength for it. But now the only reason why this actually matters, and the only reason I'm really talking about this in detail, is that obviously it seems like my indication from Refugien is this is obviously the scene of this season that is going to be the most controversial, because it's setting up this idea of Rudius going to be faithful to Sylphie, and then this happens. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's almost like it happens again, where Rudius is in a broken state, and then some girl sleeps with them, following Elise's kind of indications that this is the way to fix them. And so there's a side of me that almost believes that Refugien might, bump them to adjust things a little bit in order to soften that blow. I mean, they've already done it before. The whole scene where, Paul is standing there with his two swords and saying, hey, I got these two swords, and they do that's anime original. It seems like they have been trying to soften this idea, which, don't get me wrong, I don't think that Refugien cares, honestly. I just think he's going, stuff's coming up. People are going to get mad again. He does that with the board meetings. He goes in there and says, people are going to get mad. This whole thing with Lenny and Percenta, yep, people are going to get mad. He don't care. He likes to troll people, but at the same time, there is that indication that he does see this being a problem that people are going to bring up. Not, again, that he's going to change it, not that they would change things for the sake of appeasing people, but that I think they might adjust things a little bit, just, I guess, make more sense, which can be frustrating to somebody that wants it to be true to what it is. If Rudius and Roxy and anybody else makes mistakes, have it there. Have it on display. Show it. Why not? There's no reason to sugarcoat anything. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of Sylphie fans that are going to be upset. There's going to be a lot of Sylphie fans that are going to be upset. This has been the one moment that I've been waiting for to see just how the overall populace is going to react. Obviously, if you look at the tweets and replying to this PV on Twitter, at least Japanese fans, they all ready for it. They all excited for it. They're all cheering Roxy, Roxy, Roxy. This is the scene they've all been waiting for. The hype levels around this second season have been off the charts when it comes to Core 2 because there's a massive fandom for Roxy. Count me in on that. And yeah, so they've been waiting for this moment, seeing this being that great moment where Roxy kind of swoops in and pulls him out of that dark place once again, because he's in that dark place. He is broken, just like before, being broken in this new world, and now being broken in this new world, having now realized you lost a lot of things. So again, curious how they handle it. I'm already getting replies on Twitter, at least, saying, oh man, don't do this to myself. It's like, you knew it was coming. It's a world of harems. It's an isekai. It was coming. It was eventually going to get here. So yeah, we'll see how the internet reacts to it. That's going to probably be the most entertaining thing about this whole situation is, man, here's all the people that don't care about Mushoku Tensei suddenly caring about Mushoku Tensei again. Oh, they've not been watching it, but now suddenly they're watching again just so they can talk about how Rudy is a terrible person. And again, when I covered this segment, I was disappointed in Rudius. I wanted him to stay faithful to Sylphie. Again, as a massive Roxy fan, I wanted Rudius to stay faithful. So don't get me wrong there. I honestly, before this whole segment came up, I didn't want him to be with Roxy. I felt that she was not a good fit for him because he admired her too much. Now, obviously, as the story went on, my mind around that changed. But at this moment right here, I was like, I kind of wanted him to stay faithful. I didn't really want him to jump into, at the situation with Roxy. But it happened. Again, it's mistakes, it's decisions, it's all these things that, in the end, cultivates who Rudy is. So, again, it's got me very curious. This has easily been the most anticipated episode for me for a long time. I cannot wait to see how they portray this, and I'm a little bit nervous. At least visually, it looks fantastic. The shot's so gorgeous. Roxy looks so gorgeous right here. At least it looks visually good. It's just, is it going to play out the way we're hoping? And I mean, the people working on this episode do look good. I mean, again, based on the leaks, which is basically little white blurs because it was a 100p image. It's very difficult. You can literally only get the character count of who's actually in it, not necessarily exactly who. But Tomoaki Takatsudo is going to be directing it, and they essentially did episode directing for episode 3 and 7. Which I think one of those is Nanahoshi, the Nanahoshi episode, which is fire. That was really good job portraying the mental breakdown of that whole situation. And the script work, like I said, wasn't listing Refugin. Don't get that idea. But they've done a lot of stuff for Mushoku Tensei. I mean, they did like episode 2, 7, and 11 of the second core of the first season. 3 more. It looks like 7 episodes total of the second season. I think the only one that stood out from that whole list was probably the first initial meeting with Paul. I think that was one of them in Millis, which I thought was a really fantastic episode. So we'll see. But that's my thoughts on the episode. Like I said, Roxy's looking gorgeous. And like I said, I'm a little bit concerned about this pull that was not in the novel, which does imply her being aggressive, which is not really what was portrayed in that scene. There was no aggressiveness that she was doing. She was just basically saying, I'm here, only so that you could do this thing. But we'll see. I'm also curious how they're going to handle Annalise in that scene. Annalise giving him the bump. We'll see. That's my thoughts on the PV. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of this PV. And what do you think of Dom Roxy? Do you think Dom mode Roxy is going to work out well? Does it make sense in your head canon that Roxy turns into a Dom? Maybe. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video again. If you did, again, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button, subscribe my content. I do news reviews, first person, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Again, I'll be covering this episode when it airs. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be a long episode skip content, changed content probably at this point, episode video review, and additionally everything else that I cover for this series, including Mushoku Monday, where I cover the novel series, which are currently on volume 20. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care.